Hello. Let's get this party started. So my name's Fernando. I'm an indie game developer. I'm an educator. I teach college right now. I teach game programming. Um, and context for this video. A few months ago, I entered the IndieCade Festival. And a few weeks ago, Parker got back to me and asked me to arrange a play session. And this video is an introductory lecture, we'll say, for the educational game that you're about to play. Okay, so I would actually like to, so I made a game called Team Hero Coder, but before I talk about that game, I would like to talk about education. Got a few quotes here. Okay, so uh, a major role model of mine is an excellent fellow by the name of Seymour Papworth. And these are just some quick quotes by him that I'd like to start off by talking about, to share my views on education, and rather how it should be. The role of the teacher is to create the conditions for invention rather than provide ready-made knowledge. Okay, the role of the teacher is to create the conditions of invention, right? Little attack on lecturing. Okay, next quote. The scandal of education is that every time you teach something, you deprive a student of the pleasure and benefit of discovery. Right? That's very strong language. Right? Every time you teach something, every time you lecture something, tell somebody something directly, you deprive them of discovery and the benefit of that discovery and the pleasure of it. Okay, next quote. There's a tendency to make jazzy educational software that's very uniform and therefore just like school. I'd like to see a company develop software for rebellious kids, who don't want to go to school. That's, a sort of intrinsic motivation appeal. And the last bit is, it's not a quote that I have, but something Sir Ken Robinson pointed out in one of his excellent presentations is this idea that if you were to take a surgeon from 100 years ago and throw them in an operation room today, they would have no idea what's going on. But if you were to take an educator from 100 years ago and put them in a classroom today, with a few exceptions of technology that's in the classroom, it's all kind of the same. Okay. So now that I've talked about my view on education, I'd like to actually, before I show you my game, Team Hero Coder, I'd like to talk about a situation I was in, which went on to, we'll say, catalyst me into creating Team Hero Coder. So, let me change my camera back. So, 4 years ago, I was in my first college teaching position, and the faculty had hired me because he knew I had different views on education and that I wanted to write education. I wanted to create curriculum, and it just so happened he needed somebody who wanted to teach and write curriculum content. So that happened, and I wrote some, and it was pretty straightforward. But there was a little issue I had. The AI courses that are commonly taught, they just weren't appealing to me. And just to be clear, there's some great stuff in college AI, game AI programming, like specifically the A-star pathfinding algorithm. I think is one of the most beautiful little algorithms, right? Like it's a real thing of beauty. But I'm a Magic the Gathering player. I like my strategy games. So I just craved for more, and I had this space to write curriculum, and I actually ended up showing some of my students the AI system that I used for a strategy card game I made called Grid Legion, and you can go check that out. And it was just, they thought that was cool, you know, and I started to really think about it, and it's like, I think we want specifically strategic decision making uh, curriculum content. And originally when I started to do something closer to like a farm sim thing where you had all these things, but that was a little bit on the convoluted side, um, yeah, yeah. So eventually, I came to go to the elevator pitch now. It's my elevator pitch. Oh wait, no, this is my logo. Isn't that great? What do you think that's about? What do you think the game's about? You look at the logo, right? It's a question, right? Because logo. Okay. All right. So elevator pitch. Team Hero Coder is the game that lets you code AI for your team of heroes. Okay, and you have to look at my picture. You have to see. What do you think's going on there? You got ally health less than 40%, cure light. You got some particle effect thingy going on there. And this looks like an RPG party or something. I don't know. Oh, what do you think? Yeah. Anyways, let you speculate. So, battle in a classic arena using a programming language of your choice or pseudo C, an in-game drop-down menu decision-making sequence. Huh. A programming language of your choice or pseudo C. Okay, this is the next screenshot. Make this bigger. Yeah, that's a pseudo C. So you got this menu up here: heroes, perks, items, pseudo C, and then here you have well, I don't know what is this? It's got numbers here. These lines are numbered, and this looks like some sort of ally health less than 40%. Some sort of magic, right? And cure light. Ally class equals fighter. Bracket open. And then there's this one that's indented, and it says ally not status brave, brave. And bracket close. And then the next condition, number 5, is foe health lowest attack. Well, that's kind of interesting, right? What do you think that does? Um, okay. Oh, finish elevator pitch. The goal of the Team Hero Coder project is to radically transform the way coding is taught by letting gamers do what they do best: play, but with code. And yeah, I worked to get that bit of text here, well written to appear sophisticated. Okay, so that's the elevator pitch. So general use context. Team Hero Coder is a game that I typically bring into the classroom, the college classroom, in year 2 to teach game AI programming, decision trees specifically. It's been quite a lot of fun in the past, and it's been an excellent tool. We've pretty happy with what we're able to teach. I could show you some sample code, but let's do that at the very end. I'll show some sample code at the very end of what we try to get out of the college experience in the second year. Um, but also, and this is a newer context, right now, as of in about a week's time, on September 5th, when the semester starts, we're going to be starting off semester 1, George Brown College. We're going to start students off where the first 5 labs that they have are going to be with Team Hero Coder. And that's in a game programming fundamentals course. So yeah, so I'm going to actually show you that lesson plan. And it's a little altered because my faculty head, who I teach with, is delivering a lecture, and he's going to cover some concepts. So he's actually going to have these concepts covered: the concept of what an algorithm is, the concept of what pseudocode is, Boolean evaluations. Normally he teaches this on the second lecture, but because I want to get our students going with Team Hero Coder, he's bumped it into this first lecture. And the scientific process, right? So trial, error, testing, all that stuff, right? And if you're not aware of these, maybe take a second to Google what an algorithm is, or pseudocode, or Boolean evaluations, inequalities. Okay, I would like to make 2 promises. So at this point, I'm just going to go into a lecture as if I was teaching. So hello, my students, which you now are. Uh, you know, I guess welcome. That would have happened. Welcome to college. But really, I'll start off by making two promises to you. So the first is that if you're new to coding, this is going to be very welcoming. And if you're an experienced coder, the space for you to ramp up the challenge will occur very quickly. So I'm going to start off by loading a party. Let's just take, make one for IndieCade. Oh my goodness. So this is Team Hero Coder, and as you can see, there's a main menu, and I can press buttons, and I can buy heroes, and there seems to be a point buy system going on, and I can also buy or sell perks. Right, it's kind of nice looking, and but I'm not gonna do much in terms of purchasing a party. We're just gonna start off with a very simple party, no items, just vanilla wizard and a vanilla fighter. With the Guardian perk so that he has the cover ability, which will allow him to take hits. And I already have a condition set up, which I'm not supposed to. But anyways, as you can see here, this is pseudo C, right? And this is kind of an accessible way of coding. So over here, I have, if I press this, I have attack, magic missile, and slow. If I go back to my perks, those are the abilities that my wizard has, right? And Nest will open, does something funky, and that's kind of mysterious. We'll come back to that. Actually, we'll just take this, put that there. But let's just, for now, keep it simple. Select magic missile, and then over here where it says foe any, you can click here, and we can go ally, foe, undefined. And over here we have a list of different things, folders. So I'm going to go percentage bars, health. And here I can go equals 100, less than, greater than, lowest, highest. So we'll go less than. And we got percentages that we can select. If I go lowest, that'll just remove that second param there. So let's just do that, and let's just hop inside of a battle. Level 1, play with pseudo C. Let's see what happens. So looks like there's these bars that are filling here, and we got a foe wizard that attacked us. Foe, health lowest, magic missile. Okay, that's kind of interesting. So attack, when our character got hit, notice the red bar shrunk a little bit. And when we hit, we took that thing there. Notice how the bars are filling, the green bars, and that when the green bar fills, the character gets a turn. So the green bar is their initiative. And, hopefully a lot of these mechanics are kind of intuitive and obvious. Oh, and if we look at the blue bar, notice how it goes down a bit every time our wizard attacks, every time our wizard uses magic missile, right? And the physical attacks don't require mana, but okay. So looks like we're not really running the best strategy here, maybe we could say, eh? Like, what do you think? Any of the strategy gamers out there? You got any thoughts about how this might be better? Maybe we could focus fire? I can change the speed. So now this will make it go quicker, which I think is desirable. Ooh, so we didn't win. Let's go back. Let's think here. What can we do that would be a little bit better? Well, how about we look at the stats and we say, whoever has the lowest special defense we'll target with our magic missile. Let's try that. Let's see if that generates different results. And I'll hit speed, fast forward, play fast. Okay. So we're focus firing at this point. Well, that should give us just a little bit of an edge. As you can see. Oh wow, I wonder how much health he has. Oh wow, next to no health. Just succeed. Isn't that cute? Okay, so we won that time. And that was because we assigned a better condition, right? Where the lowest health was I guess a supposedly good solution. What we did was we watched a failed solution, and then we figured out how to make it better, right? And that's a pretty good definition of the iterative process. Oh, let's put this there. Okay, there we go. All right, let's go back. Now, what am I doing next? I'm adding a cleric. Adding a cleric. Okay, so I'm going to go over here. I'm going to add, and we're going to get a cleric. We're going to go to sudo C. And I'd like to ask you, what do we want to do with our cleric? So our cleric has one ability, Cure Light Wounds, or just Cure Light, and that's a heal spell. So what do we want to do? Who do we want to use that on? Well, we don't want to use a foe. We want to target an ally. And let's say if their health is less than, let's go with 40% to be conservative. And let's play level 2. Once again, play fast. We should have been a little. Looks like we needed to be a little bit more conservative, hey? So let's go back. And let's go to 60. Oh, and I said potion. Oh, I'm such a silly boy. So here you see all the items that are available. And you know what? Probably the 40 would have done the trick. I'm just silly. And I went with potion. Okay. So that's like one of those typo errors that you make when you're programming. That happens all the time, you know? Never really grow out of it. All right, fast forward. I can remove the pop-ups of the displays of the conditions. We'll keep them up though for a bit. That's a heal. And with this, we have our basic trinity work. We've got a tank, a healer, and magic DPS. Oof. That's cutting it close. We got 7 health on this guy. Seem to be holding. I'm gonna disable the condition displays. And voila. You've beaten the next level. Okay, so I'm going to next purchase 2 new perks. Let's make our wizard or our cleric a little bit better, a little bit beefier. So I'm going to go to the perks, and I'm going to buy the healer perk for our cleric, which provides our access with Cure Serious. Notice how we were barely able to keep our fighter sustained with Cure Light. Well, Cure Serious will change that. Right? It's not twice as much, but it's 1.5 times as much heal effect. Also gives her access to Mass Heal, which heals the entire party, and it gives her access to Resurrect. So if a foe dies, or if an ally dies, she can res, combat res. Over here, I'm going to go to the Evoker perk, which gets us access to Flame Strike, which is a higher damage output magic missile, single target. Fireball, which will hit all foes, and Mana Burn. And when I teach this lecture, I'm going to ask the students what they want to do, because actually any of these will do the trick for the next few levels. A little bit of a balancing act. I'm kind of proud of my level design, not going to lie. But we can use any of these. So, post up a poll. I wish I could hear what you think. Maybe Fireball. Fireball seems to be, pretty liked, mostly by people who play aggro. Those who play, like, we'll say blue and MTG, probably like the idea of draining the foe's mana, and just controlling the battle. But we're going to assume that we're good people here, so we're going to use Fireball. Let's change this. So I'm going to change this. We have a few new abilities here. And again, like, I think, if I wish we were in person and I could hear your thoughts, because I get the feeling you might have some ideas, and I could just listen to those ideas and input them, and then we could test and go from there. But anyways, I'm just going to set up a nice little configuration here where if an ally's health is really low, we're going to use Cure Serious. In the event that one of our allies is slain, we will use Resurrect. The target still has to be legal. So if an ally has no health, they won't be targeted by Cure Serious, even though they have 0% and that this condition is true. It still checks for legality. So ally any with Resurrect will get up our only work if there's a slain target, because Resurrect can only target a slain target, a slain ally, right? It has to be somebody who's KO'd. Over here, I'm going to go ally percentage bars health less than, we'll say 60. We'll use Cure Light. So we've created this little situation where our first priority is Resurrection if they're KO'd. If they're low on health, below 30%, Cure Serious. And if they're below 60, Cure Light. Let's do one more. Let's do ally. Or you know what? Let's just leave that for now. We can come back to that later. But Mass Heal is another one to set up, and based on the confidence of the class, I'll set that up. It's a little trickier because we can. Oh well, hell, let's do it. So we'll go Nestle Open. We'll put something in there. So we can say ally, percentage bars, health less than 50%. And then I can say ally, class status, other, oops. And I can say heroes filtered greater than 2, or greater than 1. So if there's 2 allies that have less than 50% health, right? So this filters, and if there's 2 targets that have less than 50% health, this will check like, oh, there's 2, so let's use Mass Heal, or if it's greater than 1 rather. So with that in mind, let's just take this, put Cure Light down there, and Cure Serious here, and we'll prioritize like that. Maybe even put that above the resurrect, whatever. But anyways, that's kind of overkill for what we need to do. We can maybe set up like a foe. We'll just go foe any attack. That's fine. Now for our wizard now has access to mana burn, flame strike, and slow. Right. So I do suspect that if some of you out there are people who play blue in Magic the Gathering, you might be very attracted to these two. And yeah, we can make that work. But let's just stick with Fireball because it's nice and straightforward. And Fireball targets all foes, so we don't need to select anything. And okay, cool. Well, we've done lots of little pseudo seeing, so let's play. Oh, any attack. Oh, let's play fast. Oh, and just a little thing about this game, you can resize the window. It's pretty good about it, right? That's a feature that's there because we'll be coding with an IDE later on, and you need more window space. Okay. So they're healing. But it was just a cure light. And why don't we fireball? Can I do something to it? Okay, apparently I don't have my program. So we go here and, oh, team, look at that. I'm so silly. So that needs to be up at the top because otherwise this is the priority. Right? I was just testing you. I was just testing you. That's not a legitimate mistake. I was just testing. It was a legitimate mistake. All right, so fireball. Boom. We all love DPS. I have my picture down here. So. Okay. So this is a situation where a mass heal would be really good for them, right? But they don't have that online. They're not cool like us. There is a bit of a situation, though, where our wizard is running out of mana, so that's interesting. That's very interesting. That's what we'll take care of next. Ooh, the spider has dropped. I'm going to disable the condition pop-up. Oh, look at that. Our wizard's out of mana. He's doing mage beats with the staff. So one of the things that's good about magic missiles is that it's very mana efficient. But now that we're using things that are not mana efficient, what we need is mana regen. So we're going to get that working next. We're going to purchase some ethers. Oh, look at our cure serious. It's a good heal. That's match. Attack. No. Okay. You know, victory theme song. I don't have one of those, but you can imagine one. Okay. So I'm gonna go over here to items. I'm gonna purchase 3 ethers. I think that's what I had in my lesson plan. Yes, 3 ethers. And now we got to set that up. So let's make our fighter do something because he's not doing anything right now. So let's make him the go-to. If mana is less than, we'll say 30%, use an ether. So that's his number one priority. And I guess we could set it up also on our, yeah, I mean, just to show how complex this stuff can get quickly, right? Because by no means we're just scratching the surface here. And we have, is that my cat? I think my cat wants my attention. I'm making a video. Okay, so ether, and the question of like where does this go? Is it more important than cure serious? Maybe it's more important than cure light, but not more important than cure serious. And this question gets dicey in a lot of contexts, right? So but we'll just shove it there. I guess we should also put on our wizard just because to be thorough. Percentage bars, mana less than 30%, ether, and let's put this right there, right? So if he can cast Magic Missile, he'll cast Magic Missile. But okay, let's play level 4. Play fast. Keep the conditions up for a bit. So our foes, like us, have the same perks, and they went for Flame Strike. So not Fireball, but Flame Strike, which is a little intimidating. There we go. We got our strong heal to counter the Flame Strike, right? And do notice, Flame Strike is kind of like our Fireball. It burns the mana. Right? So what's going to hinge on this battle is the fact that we have mana regen, and our foe does not. I'm glad we have Resurrect as well lined up, just in case we need it, because it's kind of biting close to the wire. So both parties were able to go blow for blow and keep healing online, out heal the damage, but at this point their wizard's out of mana, and their cleric, well, their cleric's going to get dropped by a fireball. I don't know if you can tell from the shirt I'm wearing, but I'm a fan of wizards. They have the most work into their visual effects, yeah. There you go, she's using an ether. Right, but the question, like, should have she used a heal there? Would have that been better? Would have that been a bit safer? There you go. So I think you can tell that we've won. Let me see my lesson plan here. Oh yes, we get to end with my biasy of like what's the first thing we we got this party of classic RPG characters. What do we want to do? Like what do we we could get a monk, we could get a rogue, right? Like we could go over here, we could get a rogue, or we could get a monk, or we could get an alchemist. They're fun. But no, you know what we're gonna do to finish off with this tutorial? We're gonna buy all the perks for the wizard, and I guess if this was a class, I'd be like, hey, do you want to play with Doom? Put a countdown timer on somebody, like as a status effect that puts a countdown timer on somebody. But we're just gonna go with the meteor because it's fun. So foe any. I don't need to open that. Go for the meteor, and we put it up at the top. And this is actually really good because Fireball is the mana conservative Meteor. Meteor is going to burn our mana real fast. And you know what? I think we want to iterate on this. You know, no, I think even if we can let our fighter use cure, the ethers, right? Like we don't want our cleric doing that. We want our cleric taking care of things. But oh, what's this? They have a new character. They have an alchemist. What's that about? Oh, well, I mean, we should go take a look to see what an alchemist has if we're going to fight against him, right? So, what does the alchemist have? We'll sell this character, but oh, craft. Oh, craft revives, silence remedy, craft elixir, ether, mega elixir. Wow. Okay, well, come out of the party. But our foe has one, so we'll get to see that character in action. Ally any craft ether. Oh, oh, oh. So an ether popped up, and then it went in there, and then oh, look at that! They have an ether that they didn't have before, and the essence used to be called craft material. Essence cost oh meteor. Ooh, so cool! Wow, awesome. Definitely the place with the most work in the particle effects. But yeah, so they have sustain. They're creating ethers every turn. Their alchemist can create an ether, and that's a bit of a situation, you know. Uh, if they can keep their party healed, they can turn their what was once 30 essence into 15 ethers. 15 is a lot more than 3. So they actually have mana sustain. They have the late game. They're the late game blue deck, you know? And that means we need to beat them in the early game. But, thanks to my clever thinking in advance, that meteor hits like a truck, and we have a strong amount of aggro. But I did want to point that out, that they have us beat in the late game. So if we can end the game, end the match fast, we'll win. Our wizard was out of mana. We'll use one of our 3 ethers to allow him to keep dropping meteors. Oh, look at that. He used himself to regenerate his mana so he can make more ethers. Isn't that funny? Well, anyways. Didn't end well for them. Oh, look. Our wizard's out of mana again. Notice we're burning through our ethers, right? Like, if this match went on for much longer, they would have us beat. Okay, cool. We got to see the meteor come down again. Okay, so that concludes the initial tutorial. Yeah. Notice the strategy that the foe used, right? They had us beat in the late game. Like this team here could really, if we did not overwhelm them with damage, with DPS really in like a burst kind of way, they would have outlasted us, right? They would have been able to maintain their ether sustain, their mana sustain in a much more strong, compelling way than we were able to. So just a little bit of strategy to note there. Maybe I should take a quick tangent to note, but so prior to making this, I made a strategy card game, and the problem with that strategy card game was there was just too much metagame. So like my friends who are great Magic the Gathering players, Dota players, StarCraft players, they would play for like come over to my place and play, and we'd play all weekend, and we do it again, and we do it again and again and again, and they'd be past out the 40-hour mark and still picking up meta. And one of the reasons why I selected this system is because it's not it's easy to learn, and as it turns out, it just by carefully selecting the mechanics that are available in it and being conservative, like there's not a lot of mechanics. Like the fighter, I mean, the fighter is barren of mechanics, right? And that was kind of by design. But even here, right? The wizard has magic missile, slow, petrify, which inflicts a petrification status effect. And after a few turns, a person turns to stone and doesn't have their initiative bar fill up. Poison Nova, which inflicts poison damage over time on all foes. Um, these abilities, which you saw, right? Meteor, Doom, which I mentioned, Quick Dispel, which removes positive status effects from a foe, right? But these aren't that many. That's just a nice couple of handful, right? And same with the cleric. The cleric has the abilities that you've seen thus far, but also haste, a haste status effect, faith. So haste increases the initiative fill rate by 50%. Faith increases a hero's special stat by 50%. Brave increases their physical attack stat by 50%. Auto life, when a hero is dropped, they automatically res. So that's a strong way to where our meteor was really cool and was really imagine if we were up against a party that had a cleric that just the opening move auto lifed herself, right? So there's ways to counter meteor, and that's I mean, I had to put something in the game. I know I didn't want to, but can't have the wizard being you know quick heal is a low heal, but upon completion, uh, her initial bar fills 50%. Oh no, it's only 30% now. I had to nerf that. It was really good. Uh, and then quick cleanse, which is removes all negative status effects from an ally, and fills her initiative bar 50%. Okay, so let's look at what we have. Well, let's go to the alchemist because we've already seen the alchemist in action. So craft potion is his starter ability. So without any perks, he can craft potion. And he's got well-rounded stats. He can take a hit. He can also give a hit. That's another issue, another detail of him. Haste, slow, right? So sticking with the kind of red mage archetype of like black and black and white magic. Cleanse, dispel, and this comes from the Arcanist perk. Oh, okay, let me sell something. Let me sell a perk here. Um, the Arcanist perk provides us with these, right? And this is cleanse, and that doesn't replenish. It's not quick cleanse that the mastery perk cleric has, or it's not quick dispel, which the mastery perk wizard has. Over here on the chemist, we have revive, silence, remedy. Oh, craft revive rather. So you can turn essence. An essence over here costs 1 gold apiece, right? You can turn essence into revives. Uh, craft. You can craft silence remedies, craft poison remedies, craft petrify remedies, and craft full remedies. Right. So that's a lot of item crafting. And then over here, which I'm out of money. I need actually I can sell one of these and have enough money. Um, right. But just to be clear here, I can't. The Aetherist perk requires the Chemist perk. There's requirements going on here. Um, but the Aetherist provides us access with Craft Ether, Craft Elixir, and Craft Mega Elixir. All right. So some interesting abilities. Um, let's get rid of the Alchemist and let's add a Rogue. So the Rogue starts off with the Steal ability. The Steal allows you to steal from your opponent, and you steal their lowest value item. And when you steal, it goes into your inventory, right? So you get to have the item. You take away an item from them, and you have the item, and that's a thing that's that's a game changer. Uh, item stealing supremacy is an interesting thing. With the assassin perk, you get access to poison strike, silent strike. So poison strike does damage, and it inflicts the poison status effect, which is damage over time. Silent strike, uh, it does damage, and it inflicts the silent status effect. Now, silence says on that character's turn, it's a status effect, and it says on their next turn they can't use mana abilities, right? So that can hard counter, a wizard, right? I mean, you can have a fighter with the Guardian perk protecting your wizard, but if you have the Swashbuckler perk on your rogue over here, or pardon me, the Bandit perk, you get access to stealth, which allows you to get around cover, right? So rogues are, a lot of counterplay, on these characters. Sorry. So adrenaline says if the rogue has 51% or less health, then she does an extra 50% damage, right? If she has 51% or less health, she does extra damage. So that's a strategy where you play with low health, and there's a synergy where you use a lot of revives, because revives only replenish you to 50%. And anyways, that's just a synergy detail I won't get into right now. Um, let's see here. With the Swashbuckler, you have Stun Strike, um, and that when you hit a foe, you reduce their initiative by 40%, right? Item Jockey, which says whenever a rogue uses an item, whenever she uses an item, her initiative is replenished by 40%. So that's a synergy with the alchemist. If the alchemist is crafting items, she can use them really effectively. Um, yeah. Um, oh, did I? So I mentioned the stealth ability. Larceny. When a hero with the larceny passive ability steals an item that costs 5 or less coins, they steal a second item. So if you steal the lowest value item and it just so happens to be like a petrify remedy, which only costs 2, then the rogue will steal twice if she has the bandit perk. And the last ability is Bitter Blossom, which if she hits a poison foe, she does an extra 10% damage. Okay, so that's the rogue. Let's look at the last character class, which is the monk, right? Like I said, there's only so much in this game. There's not a lot of pieces. I guess I sort of start talking about that and then drop the topic, but there's enough. There's enough, right? So it's a meta game that and just to be clear, after working on it for 1 year, after passing the 1 year mark, I actually had more mechanics in the game than I have right now. This was really a challenge. Like a major point of this game was I wanted to have a good number of synergies and counters, and game states, but I wanted to keep the number of mechanics that I had to tell the player about low, right? Um, yeah, I wanted to keep that low. So there really is like a good number. So if you go to the tournament section, each one of these is a unique strategy, a unique party composition and a unique strategy. And some of them are kind of dumb, like petrification, which is very name type-ish. I wanted to keep petrification in because everybody knows about it from classic Final Fantasy. Um, and it just seemed like some of the players that I had really dug it, but a lot of things like we'll say turn tempo. So if any of you are play blue and MTG, the idea of mana tempo is kind of reflected in this strat. Uh, Meteor Rush, there's a good rush deck, right? There's a glass cannon strat that's not on here, where you get rid of the fighter and you just go in with a couple more mega elixirs and item crafter, right? Which has been alluded to already, as suggested, right? You have an alchemist crafting items, and then you have two rogues using them and doing all sorts of counterplay. Um, yeah, and there's a few other limit break crafter, right? So you have sorry, I didn't explain the monks. I should finish explaining them, but they also have the adrenaline perk, just like the rogue. So if they die and you use a revive on them, they're going to hit like a truck, right? And they also have very high physical attack. So, that's a strategy where you let them die and you revive and you just kind of keep your party at like low health. Very much countered by meteor, by AoE damage, but very much something that can really rack up the damage in the mid game. Anyways, look, there's a good number of strategies. That was the point that I was trying to make. And there's a good number of counterplays to sort of do. And as it turns out, when you're coding AI, that's enough to get started with, right? We don't want chess here. Uh, you know, Coding AI for StarCraft has been available, since 2000 or 99 even, right? But it's just too much of a barrier to entry, and this is very much something that, like I said, at the 1.5 year mark, I had more mechanics in this game than I do now, and I had a few that were just rabbit holes, right? I had an item called a Seer Stone that allowed you to, in combat, sell one of your characters and replace it with another character of equal value, and that meant that you had to code in such a way where you didn't know what your team composition would be, and your opponent's team composition could change in response to yours. And where the StarCraft player in me loves that, right? Where the Dota player in me loves that. It's not appropriate for this context. And a tear was shed for the fallen mechanic. But anyways, I'm gonna finish explaining the monk. So the monk has a chakra ability, which allows her to regenerate mana, but it drops her max mana. So she can only do it based on the number of perks that she has. She can only use her mana regeneration ability like 6 times. She has D-Brave, which is the opposite of the Brave status effect. It's a -1 in it, and so Chakra comes from the Disciple perk. D-Brave, D-Faith, and Bitter Bloom come from the Ninja perk, and D-Faith is just like D-Brave, but for lowering special. And Bitter Bloom, I've already mentioned it. It increases the amount of damage she does when she hits a target that's poisoned. And then the last perk is Boundless Fist, which is just Flurry of Blows. Is she hits all foes, so she does AoE, she does all foe damage, and then she has Adrenaline, which is what that other party composition with the revives plays into, right? She dies, you use a revive on her, she gets up, she has 50% health, and because of that, she hits for 1.5 damage, right? Okay, cool. So those are all the abilities. There are items. Potion is a health heal. Ether is a mana heal. Elixir is a mana and health heal. Mega Elixir is a full health and mana heal for all allies. Revive gets your fallen hero back up. The remedies, remedy as the name says, the full remedy removes all negative status effects, and essence is used by the alchemist to create items. So that's all the content. That's it. But like I said, there's a good number of synergies and counters to really get on top of with this content. Okay, cool. Lesson plan. So I did this. Yeah. So now, and again, this is very much I would like to do with you folks. So it's like Meteor Rush. Well, let's take a look at Meteor Rush. What's going on in this level? Right, and you can see the selections that they're using, right? Mana burn. So first move, the wizard used mana burn against our cleric. Oh, I still have the monk party. Okay, well, whatever. Mana burn again, shutting down our cleric because they know that the cleric, especially a cleric with the perks that our cleric has, the healer perk, she can mass heal, which counters Meteor, right? So they're countering the counter. Okay, so that's interesting. This is a little peek there. Let's just dip. Poison Nova. fireball. I think we lost. Let's just whatever. I didn't even want to win anyways. What about status effect control? Right? So you got a cleric that's fully perked out, and you have um, a wizard with the aberrant perk. So that's poison nova specifically. And then you have a monk with the ninja perk, which is deep rave and deep faith, right? So this team can get in a situation where it's like they have themselves buffed, and you're in a situation where you don't have much. They also have the chakra perk, pardon me, the disciple perk. So that's access to chakra. So she has mana regen. That's pretty cool. Oh, and they're a four-party team, which leaves them vulnerable to things like meteor and fireball because they take an extra, you know, third of damage. But they also can just like beat you down, right? They're just general attack can kind of become brutal after a while, especially when you have perks. Pardon me, when you are debuffed and they are buffed, right? When your cleric has a defaith status effect on her, so she's healing for 50% less, and their cleric has a faith status effect, and their fighter and their monk has the brave status effect, right? That's a truck, right? That's a. Sorry, I should have just showed you rather than explained. Um, let's see here. What's another good one? That's this is an aggro deck. Um, let's go to Limit Break Crafter. Oh, you know what? Let's get rid of our whatever. Got a monk that's just kind of weirdly in our party. They're targeting her because she has the Boundless Fist perk, which they have identified as a counter against them, right? Because if you keep your party at low health, you're vulnerable to like being bursted down quickly, right? Anyways, their alchemist is crafting revives, right? And they have quite a few other just items in general. But yeah, let's okay, so I think we're do I have more to cover? Let's just see here quickly. Do I have more to cover? I think that takes care of us. Okay. So I'm sorry. They used revive, so their character dropped. And he's revived. But notice now how they're going to start hitting hard, like almost 420. Right? They're hitting hard. Oh, and we got rid of our meteor because remember so we're not even, because otherwise we would be countering them. I just like to point out, look at how many items they have, right? And I think they had 30 essence at the start of the battle, but like, they're doing good. They're doing good, and we're almost out of ether, right? And mind you, if we had meteor, we would be countering them, right? But I sold that perk. Crafting a potion, or they use the craft potion ability if there's less than 2 potions available. The monks are using chakra to regenerate mana. This party here can go into the late game, and they're hitting like a truck at this point, right? Again, like a 420 physical hit. It's a lot of damage, right? right? So notice how the alchemist is really just keeping himself at full health, and he's like, yeah, you guys can die, because then you'll just use a revive on them, right? Again, this is a strategy that's very prone to burst damage. Ooh, what? 6 health, both of them. Right. Yeah. So that was a great play, right? We got 2 of them down in one blow, and if we can get this guy down quickly, then we can win. But they do have revives, and maybe the play that they should have done there was to prioritize the revive. But our wizard's out of mana, and we're out of ethers. So where this battle looks very much like we're about to win. Let's see what happens. Oof. I don't think that was the play. Some of the... Oh, but... Get out of revive. Alright. Abilities. Yeah, we're in a bit of a stalemate. Fourteen 14 essence remaining. But notice what the alchemist has is very tanky. It's not like a fighter tanky, but not too shabby. So I think we are gonna win after another quite a few turns, right? This is a bit of an issue with the alchemist where it takes a little while to go down. But we're burning him out of essence with our attacks. So I think we won that battle. Let's check out turn tempo. So stun strike, right? So our character's about to act, but you know, again, mana burn, so counterplay. Some ether there. Okay. Let me just quickly see here what I wanted to do next. Yeah, so okay. See how this goes. So I think here mana burn. That being said, that was their last potion. But down to the wire. Wow. So one of the synergies that they're running is slow with stun strike. Oh, or mass heal for the win. That's what we needed. Okay. Oh my God. So that was the last revive. Oh my goodness. Oof. So the monk that we have has the has the adrenaline perk because of the Boundless Fist. We didn't do anything with her, but when she's at low health, she hits like a truck, and that might be the deciding. You know, thing here. And if you look really closely, like there, right, like was slow the play to make? I think a magic missile on the monk was the play to make there, right? Not that I think it still would have been the same result, but anyways, look, that was we're all out of items. They're out of items. Oh geez. Oh geez. Okay. So that's kind of funny. Let's see here. Yeah, you know what? Actually, I should probably cut this video short. But this is really where I would pull the class. Like, hey, which strategy do we like? Right. So if you go over here to the first lab here, um, the first lab that I'm going to do with my students, we're going to browse levels, and then we're going to pick one. And then once we've picked it, let's say it's Meteor Rush, or you know what, forget me. Um, let's say it's turn tempo. Let's say we want to build a party that centers around um, using wizards that cast slow, right? So we cast slow, and we cast stun strike. We use stun strike on a rogue, um, and we beat them down. You beat them down fast, right? And we stopped them from having turns, and and we added some other things like maybe a poison nova, and maybe we fully perk out a wizard, so we have a meteor, so we can go off at a certain point, and we use things like elixirs. Um, you know, so we're getting turn advantage on them, and they're just going to not have enough turns to keep up, and blah 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 blah. Anyways, quick dispel would also be very useful there in case they try to cast haste or try to buff a character. And anyways, pick a strategy, and then we would sort of see it out, and that would be our first lab, right? And that's all about getting the students in the process of iterative development so that they're we never get it right the first time. We never get it right the first time, and then as even once we think we have it right, we play another level, and we're like, oh, that level beat us because we determined a new requirement, and just trying to get the students into that process. And that's what I'd like for us to do as a group. I'd like to invite you to do that. There is this assignment. Oh, right. I did have other things I want to do with you guys. So code setup. I mentioned at the beginning, it's in my elevator pitch. I said you can use a programming language of your choice or pseudo C. And so far, we've only used pseudo C. So if we go over here to this info thing, we go code config PDF. We can set up coding. So you have to download an IDE so you can program. right? Like you need to use like here's some code. Or better yet, I'll just run here. So Visual Studio's the recommended one. I also VS Code's the one I personally use and like. But once you have your IDE set up, you go to this link, and this is a project which you can clone or download. And this once it loads is a starter kit with code. So you can use this, and you might be thinking, wait a second here, how does that work? Right? Like how do you 1 second here. How does that work that you can use code? Right? Like this Team Hero Coder is a game that I give my students via Steam Key. Right? They're not compiling Team Hero Coder. But what happens is basically you run this as a command line program. And the one thing you need to do to set it up is you need to take this and you delete this, and you go over here and you click copy exchange directory. And then just to show you, booyah, right? And now when you run your command line program, which is your AI, it has an exchange folder where it knows an exchange folder that Team Hero Coder will put things. So here, let me just actually show it in action. So I'm going to go over here to, let me grab a party, Simple Trinity. And I will open some AI for this party that I have here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to tournament, and I'll go to the mana sustain thing just because we got a nice battle here. And I said, oh, and did you notice there? Actually, I'll just go back. I went playtest with code, not pseudo C, with code. Okay, so the foe has a turn. They do their thing. I'm gonna play fast. They cast Brave. Right? It's really good to see, but it's a really good status effect. And now it's this fighter's turn. He has 100% initiative. This fighter is waiting for his turn, but the game is paused. The game has paused, right? And if you notice here, I've already set this up. So user/Fernando Restituto my name, and that's the file path. And yeah, so now I'm going to run my command line program. Just let it compile there. Just a second here. Oh, look at that. Input from code. Brave. Oh, input from code. Quick dispel. That was countering that Brave. That was buffed. Oh, look at that. Haste. Oh no, we can't have that happen. I'm gonna stop their conditions from popping up there. Our wizard, our players just cast Faith on our wizard. Meteor. Faith Meteor? Ooh, that's like extra effect. Right. Anyways, I'm totally getting excited about the match that's on hand. And I don't want to do that. I want to talk about the code because that's what I was talking about. So I'm going to hit pause. And I'm going to go back to the code. And you're like, well, what happened there? And actually, let's just go to the sample code because it's all in one nice little program.cs. But what happens here is this function gets overridden and it gets called. So whenever a character has a turn, actually here, let's go back to I have a diagram here. How does it work? Right? How it works. So whenever there's one of your heroes has a turn. When a hero in your team has initiative, Team Hero Coder serializes the battle state and saves it to a file in the exchange directory. So it takes all of the data in the current battle state, all of the health of your characters, their mana, their status effects, it all gets serialized and put into a file, which then your program here, your command line program, which, by the way, has access to a DLL called Team Hero Coder Library.dll, right? It's using that here. Uh, the DLL, which, once this function has been called, will has it set up so that this function here, this process AI function, is called for you. So then you can just do things like, I'll go to my thing over here, and you can just go like, I can type this line right here, which is like Team Hero Coder dot battle state dot faux heroes, and I can loop through for each hero H. Oops, no. I guess I can't type. Nope. For each hero H, and apparently I can't do syntax, in Team Hero Coder dot battle state dot faux heroes console dot right line H dot, we have access to their character class ID, their abilities, their health, their initiative percent, their mana, their max health, their max mana, passive abilities. It's all here. It's all here, right? And the same can be said for, I can go Team Hero Coder dot battle state, and I can go, I can check legal actions. I have access to player initiative, or part initiative, player inventory, foe inventory, the hero that has initiative, right? So that's what's getting used right here, by the way, right? I'm switching Team Hero Coder dot battle state dot hero with initiative dot character class ID, and then I'm checking: is it a fighter? Is it a cleric? Is it a wizard? And I'm calling the appropriate AI, right? I mean, that's actually here in the sample code, which is easier to read. This is just a nice little get starter kit, right? This is down here is this is checking to see if a hero has the poison status effect, right? A little piece of sample code. The other major thing to know about with this framework is this function right here, Team Hero Coder dot perform hero ability. So once you know what you want to do, you can say Team Hero Coder dot perform hero ability. You pass in an ability ID, and you pass in a target, or you pass in null if you're casting something like Fireball or Meteor and you don't need a target. And then what happens is your command line program serializes the ability and the target and into a new file, which Team Hero Coder is paused and is waiting for that file to be created by your program. And then it reads that, and then it's like, okay, that's what you want to do. So that's how it works. Okay. Lesson plans. Start a kit code, show. I didn't finish my lesson plan because, yeah, I was in a rush to get this video done. Parker was like, "Hey, come on." So I hustled. But I think that really does cover everything that I want to cover here. I would like to invite you. We can do this, like, I mean, if you want to message me, on Discord or whatever, we can do the lab together. We could do it as a group. I definitely, as a group, is way more fun. If there's any of you that are really like experienced coders and you want to see some good code, so there's the starter code. But maybe you're like, oh, I want to see something nice. I'm actually just in a process where I'm rewriting all the sample code that I'm providing. It was pretty outdated at one point in time. So I'm just going to go to GitLab. Actually, you know what? I'm going to stop this because it's lagging my computer. Something about when I have too many things running and Streamlabs, it doesn't play well. So I'm going to GitLabs, and I will go to my, sorry, I should have had this set up. Team Hero Coder. There's oh, sorry, but how do you find it? So so this document is available in if you go info and you go to code config PDF, right? This document gets opened. And then over here, there's a link to the starter kit. And then just click on the group, Team Hero Coder, and then check out this Team Hero Coder Simple Trinity. And this is just playing a simple Trinity where it's just the three starter characters um, with fully perked out, except for the fighter doesn't have the paladin perk. But there's six ethers, and it plays very well. Like this is like plays pretty well. Um, and if you want to look at some good code, if you're an experienced coder and you're like, well, I want to see some good code, right? This is an example. There are other coding techniques that I do not use in here, like a weight-based architecture, which I have used Team Hero Coder in the past to teach. Although a weight-based architecture is better for something like The Sims, and not so much for this. With this, you really want your decision hierarchy. Um, but yeah. You know what? Just message me. Have a conversation about the different techniques that can be covered. Really, you know, like the idea of talking to you to folks. But doing this as a group, doing the lab exercise as a group is what I think would probably be best. If you want to look at the assignment, that's the first assignment that my students are going to get. They're gonna have to make their own party, and they're gonna have to take a screenshot of their pseudo C. Isn't that? And then I'm gonna mark it. Huh. Uh, um, yeah. I guess that's it. I guess I'm just ranting now. I always I always feel hard ending conversations. I always feel like I'm forgetting something. But no, I think that's it. I think the last thing for me to do is to thank all of you for doing this. I understand that a lot of you are not doing this for money. You're doing this because you love indie games, and maybe you selected this game because you're like into this idea of a player coder gameplay experience. Um, yeah. So thank you very much for listening to me. And I'm sure you didn't listen to me at times two speed. You wouldn't do that. Uh, yeah. So thank you very much. I very much look forward to chatting, meeting, running a play session, as you all feel best as Parker instructs. So thank you. Take care. Dream well.